You're listening to a Brooklyn Nets episode of the Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the team's latest goings-on as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, Nets fans! Welcome to another Brooklyn Nets episode of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, except no imitation. The Nets right now are not playing great basketball. Since I last spoke to you about this team on one of these shows, they've gone 2-4. Their 2 wins came against the Pacers, with the big 3 back together again for the first time since the start of the Bucks series. And yesterday against the Spurs, where the Nets had to go into overtime to beat the Spurs 121-119. They were up big late. They ended up choking the lead. I mean, they were up 10 with 4 minutes left. You can't blow that lead. You just can't. You're up 12 with 5 minutes left. How on earth did the Spurs force overtime? Look, at least the Nets ended up winning. A win is a win. But now they're in a really tough spot. They had to go straight from that game to Portland, Oregon. Then 48 hours later, they have to go to Chicago to play the Bulls. And then after that, they have to go back home to face the Thunder. So they're in the midst of playing 4 games in 5 days. That is an incredibly hard stretch. The reality is, for a team that preaches load management, the Nets aren't doing that here. James Harden is out for this game. Alright, he has a left knee hyperextension. That's nothing too serious, so okay. But Kevin Durant should not be playing in this game either. See, the thing with the Harden injury is, if they had listed Harden as out because of rest, okay, everyone would have understood that. But because you listed an injury, people get a little concerned. It's good that Harden's not playing in this game, but it's bad that it's because of an injury. Fortunately, it doesn't seem serious. The thing is, though, Kevin Durant shouldn't be playing in this game either. Alright, you saw it at the end of the Spurs game. Durant was just gassed. He was missing shots that he doesn't miss. He looked exhausted. I mean, the Nets ride him hard. Now, that's part of being Kevin Durant, the best player in the NBA, but still, that's incredibly hard on the human body. And realize, the regular season, I don't want to say is irrelevant, but it's almost an afterthought for this team. Their end goal is to win an NBA Finals. Okay, it is finals or bust. Just like it was finals or bust last year. Make no mistake about it, last year was a failure. This year is finals or bust. So how do the Nets put themselves in as good a position as possible to win an NBA Finals? Well, it starts with not running these guys into the ground in the regular season. And a good way of not doing that would be to avoid playing them in an arduous back-to-back. Durant needs a breather. He just does. He needs a couple days off. You can see it. You can just see it. Use your eyes. If you want him to be fresh for the playoffs, don't run him into the ground now. Kevin Durant should not be playing in this game. Neither should Patty Mills. If anyone's earned a day off, it's Mills. He's played in every game this year. He's been struggling recently. You want to know the seminal reason why the Nets are 2-4 in their last 6? It's because Patty Mills has been struggling. Here's a guy who this year is shooting over 41% from beyond the arc. He's shooting 43% from the field. Let's look and see how Patty Mills has done the last 6 games. Against the Sixers, he shot 2 for 10 from the field and 1 for 8 from beyond the arc. Against the Clippers, he was outstanding. 6 for 10 from the field, 5 for 9 from beyond the arc. Great job, Patty Mills. Against the Grizzlies, he shot 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 5 from beyond the arc. Against the Pacers, he shot 2 for 6 from beyond the arc. Against the Bucks, he shot 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from beyond the arc. Against the Spurs, his old team, he shot 5 for 15 from the field and 3 for 12 from beyond the arc. You want to know why Mills is in this little slump? It's because he's not used to playing as much as he's playing. Now, granted, that's on Kyrie Irving, because the Nets have put Mills in Kyrie's spot. But if Kyrie really isn't going to get vaccinated, and if Mayor Adams isn't going to change the mandate anytime soon, you've got to put Patty Mills in as good a position as possible. You've got to give him some days off. You remember the game against the Jazz last year in Salt Lake City, where the Jazz won 118-88? You know why that happened? It's because Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving didn't play. It's because Joe Harris only played 5 minutes. The Nets used that game as a rest day. They had played a lot of basketball in that stretch. They were on a 3-game road trip. So the Nets used the Jazz game as, in essence, a scheduled loss. Do that here. No one will begrudge you for that. Let Kyrie go off. Let this be the Kyrie Irving show. Let him show what we've missed. Let him go for 30. The Trailblazers aren't that good. They're 15-24. There's no Damian Lillard, and there's no CJ McCollum. So this is the perfect game to rest Durant and Mills. And let guys like Kyrie and Aldridge and Claxton and Cam Thomas and Blake Griffin go off? What's the plan? Rest them Wednesday on a nationally televised game? Are you gonna rest them at all? You have to rest them. Sometimes you need to protect players from themselves. Do you really think that Kevin Durant will ever say, I don't want to play in this game? Do you think Patty Mills would ever say, I don't want to play in this game? No. But sometimes you need to protect the player from himself. Joe Torre used to do that with Derek Jeter all the time. You know what he would say to Jeter? Pick this game or this game. That's the day you're sitting. Quite frankly, I wouldn't have even flown guys like Durant, Harden, and Mills to Portland. Let them go straight to Chicago. Let them spend a couple nights in their own bed. Let them rest. Let them recuperate. Let them forget about life for a little bit. And then early Wednesday, get on a flight to Chicago. And I don't think that deprives the Nets of a chance of winning this game. You're telling me Kyrie Irving can't win a game by himself? That's a bunch of nonsense. Realistically, Kyrie could drop 30. With no Lillard and no McCollum? He could drop 30 easily. He could drop 40. This is Kyrie Irving we're talking about. The last thing on earth that I want to see happen is guys like Durant and Harden and Mills and guys like that get run into the ground. So by the time April rolls around, by the time May rolls around, these guys are exhausted. I understand that they're world-class athletes, but the human body can only take so much until it takes a step back. You risk injuries. You risk subpar performances. If I was Steve Nash, I would not have Durant and Mills play tonight. Now, one other thing that's killed the Nets, besides Mills struggling, is lack of three-point shooting. And I don't want this to come off like I'm killing Patty Mills. I really like Patty Mills. But he's in a slump right now. And he's in a slump because the Nets are riding him hard. Harder than he's used to being rode. So, of course he's going to take a step back. That's normal. Mills will right the ship eventually. But because he's struggled, the Nets' three-point shooting has fallen off a cliff. Against the Sixers, they shot 26% from three. Against the Clippers, 33%. Against the Grizzlies, 29%. Against the Pacers, 24%. Against the Bucks, 22%. Against the Spurs, 29%. That's absolutely inexcusable. Now that will change when Joe Harris comes back. The thing is, though, he can't be the only one. I understand the theory of not adding a backup wing. Joe Harris will be back at some point. Yes, he struggled in the playoffs, but give him another chance. Come on, he's one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. Be fair. Could the Nets stand to add some depth behind Harris? Yes, no question. But I do think the bigger need is a great shooting backup point guard. Unfortunately, I don't know who that is. Off the top of my head, Goran Dragic would make sense. But he'd have to be bought out, then you're vying with other teams. There was a rumor that said he wants to go to Dallas to play with Luka. They're both Slovenian. Aaron Holiday would make some sense. But I don't see the Wizards moving on from him. I'm just looking at the list of pending free agents. Maybe someone will get bought out that we don't see coming. I mean, Ben Simmons obviously wouldn't fit. He can't shoot. John Wall's not a good shooter. Kemba Walker would make sense. The Knicks would never trade him to the Nets, so he'd have to be bought out. But that doesn't strike me as something that the Knicks would do. Look, do the Nets have issues right now? Yes. No question. But they're fixable issues. Joe Harris coming back will help their lack of shooting. It's certainly something that can be addressed before the deadline in a month. The buyout market will provide at least one good backup point guard that can shoot. And as for the rest thing, that is something that Nash needs to do a better job of. But realize, in a month, the Nets will have the All-Star break for these guys to rest and recuperate. You want to tell me Durant, Harden, and Kyrie may play in the All-Star game? Yeah, that's possible. But they may also say, no, I'm good, I want to take some time off. Also, no one exerts too much energy in the All-Star game anyway, so I don't really see it being a big issue. You'll get another one of these shows in 2 weeks. New York Islanders show comes your way next week. Regular episodes of the Jacob Valk show come your way every weekday afternoon. New York Jets offseason preview will most likely come your way Wednesday night. Until next time, I'm Jacob Valk, and always remember, if you disagree with me, you're wrong.